Radhe Radhe. Dandavat Pranam. Welcome to Shri Shri Radha Bihari Mandir, Shri Gopinath Bhavan, Shri Vrindavan Dham. Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Pad Gauri Guru Varga ki jai, Patipad Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Prem Purushottam Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Vinu Bihari Ju ki jai, Radha Ramana Ju ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Start with Mangalacharan, page 1 of this book, Shri Gauriya Giti Gucha, Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuttapata Kamalam, D-A-N-D-E, Vandeham. Vandeham Shri Guru, Shri Yuttapata Kamalam, Shri Narayanam Tvam Satatam Prapannye Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshakarine Namo Vishnupadaya Gaurapresthaya Bhutale Shri Srimad Bhakti Pragyana Keshavati Namine Atimatyacharitraya Swashritananchapaline Jivanmukhe Sadartaya Shri Rama Premadayine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Namine श्रीवर्षभानवी वैखाय कृपाभये कृष्णासम्बन्धविज्ञान दैने प्रभवे नमः वाहुर्योज्ज्वलप्रेमध्यो श्रीरूपानुगभक्तिदा श्रीगौरकरुणाशक्ति विग्रहाय नमोऽस्तुते नमस्ते गौरवाणे श्रीमूर्तये दिनकारिणे रूपानुगम्भिरुद्धातो सिद्धान्तध्वन्तहारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षान्वैराग्यमूर्तये विप्रलम्भरसम्बोधे पदं जायते नमः नमो भक्तिविनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्तिस्वरूपाय रूपानुगमनायते गौराविर्भावभूमे स्वं निर्दिष्टा सजनप्रिया वैष्णव सर्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमं प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नमे गौरत्विषे नमः हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जयतं सुरतोपङ्गो मम मन्दमते गति मत्सर्वस्वपदम्बोजो राधामदनमोहनो दिव्यं वृन्दारण्यकल्पद्रुमलो श्रीमद्रत्नागारसिंहासनस्थो श्री श्रीराधा श्रीरगोविन्ददेव प्रेष्ठादिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमन्द्रसरसारम्भे वंशिवत्ततस्थितः कर्षन्मेनु स्वनर्गोपीनाथः श्रीस्तुनः वृन्दाय तुलसीदेव्यै प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्णा भक्तिप्रदे देवी सत्यवत्यै नमो नमः पञ्चतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपस्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद चैतो दर्पणमार्जनं भवमहानामं निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरवचन्द्रिका वितरणं विद्यामधुजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वार्थसफलं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं हरेर्नाम हरेर्नामेव केवलं करुणस्तेव नस्तेव न gatiranyata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
That was disturbing me coming in and out, so.
So Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya, page
32.
32. Gurudeva, Kripa Bindu, Krpabindu, Diya. And if you don't have a songbook, Jiva Pavan Prabhu always mercifully posts the bhajan in the comments section in the thread. The latest one, just scroll down or up to it, whichever way you need to do it to get to that latest post. And there you will find the bhajan and the translation so you can follow along. jai, Rupanand Gauri Guruvarga ki jai.
You have a lunch one right there.
Vaisnava. Thakura Vaisnava Pada, Avanira Susampada, page 38.
I have it on that page.
Okay, offer you.
You have the actual one. You don't have to put the rupiah. Okay? You don't have to put that if you might copy it. Okay. That's fine. No, that stays there. Do you want me to just hit the drum? Boom, boom, boom,
No.
boom, boom. That's kind of what it sounds like.
Thakura Vaishnava Pada, Avanira Susampada. Thakura Vaishnava Pada, Avanira Susampada. Shuno bhai hoya eko Shuno bhai Shuno जल पवित्र किया रघुनंदन ठाकुर की जय, श्री वंशीदास बाबा जी महाराज की जय। You want to leave?
No, it's hard for me.
Okay, Akrodha Paramananda Nityananda Rai. Page 60.
Sorry, devotees, we didn't know that that's not in the anywhere.
It's not?
No, I tried to look at you. I said they don't have it.
Oh, sorry about that. Didn't understand. Okay.
Yes, sorry, Jiva Pavana Prabhu.
We need to update all of the databases. Okay. Akrodha Paramananda is certainly there. Patipavan Shri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai.
Don't do it. No.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda laya.
Which one?
One sitting maybe Ari Bhai. Or
No.
it might not be. Kabe Aha Goranga Bolia. Or what? Goranga Balita Hari, would you like to lead it?
No. Whatever you want.
Okay. Kabe Aha Goranga Bolia, page 80. Kabeaha Goranga Bolia. Kabe aha goranga bolia. Kabe aha goranga bolia. Kabe aha goranga দেহের যতন ছাড়িব বিরক্ত হইয়া যতন ছাড়িব বিরক্ত হইয়া হবে আহা গৌরাঙ্গ বলিয়া নবদ্বীপ ধামে নগরে নগরে অভিমান পরিহারি নগরে অভিমান পরিহারি ধামবাসী ঘরে মধুকারি লোভ খাইব উদার ভরি ধামবাসী ঘরে মধুকারি লোভ খাইব উদার ভরি নদী তটে গিয়া অঞ্জলি অঞ্জলি দিব প্রভু পদ জন নদী তটে গিয়া অঞ্জলি অঞ্জলি দিব প্রভু পদ জন তরু তলে পরি আলস্য জীব তরু তলে পরি আলস্য জীব পাইব শরীরে বল পাইব শরীরে বল কাকুতি করিয়া গৌরগদাধর শ্রীরাধ মাধব নাম কাকুতি করিয়া গৌরগদাধর শ্রীরাধা মাধব নাম কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া রাখিও চরণে কাঁদিয়া কাঁদিয়া রাখিও চরণে ভ্রমিব সকল ধাম ভ্রমিব সকল ধাম বৈষ্ণব দেখিয়া করিব চরণে হৃদয়ের বন্ধু জানি বৈষ্ণব দেখিয়া করিব চরণে হৃদয়ের বন্ধু জানি বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর প্রভুর কীর্তন বৈষ্ণব ঠাকুর প্রভুর কীর্তন দেখাইবে দাসমানি দেখাইবে দাসমানি ভবে আহা গৌরাঙ্গ বলিয়া
Can you do Gai Gora Madhur Sware, or is that too difficult?
Oh, that's good. Gai Gora Madhur Sware.
Page 169 in the songbook, and it starts Gai, G-A-Y, Gora, G-O-R-A. Gai Gora Madhur Sware.
What page is it?
169.
169.
And again, if you're new to this thread, if you keep scrolling down, you'll find that Jiva Pavana Prabhu very mercifully finds all the bhajans and kirtans and puts them in the thread with a big lyric sign, so you can find it very easily. Thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu. And also he adds nectar periodically, so keep looking.
Hare Krishna, Hare something remembering Gurudev, I remembered something more from what he was singing the other night in my dream. You know that Radhika Krishna Chandra? So I wanted to sing that Ashtakam. I think it's Sri Krishna Chandra Ashtakam.
Do you know how it starts?
I'm just going there now. Radha Ashtakam. It's not Krishna Chandra Ashtakam. You might not even be there. Wow.
There's a lot not in this book yet.
Okay. Shri Krishna Namashtakam now. It's not there. Sorry.
Why not? No? Only during Kartik? You can't sing it any other time?
Actually, Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj said that Damodar Ashtakam should be meditated upon during the 4 months of Chaturmasya.
Yes.
So Sudevi suggested it, so we're going to do it. Namamishwaram Sachidananda Rupam
Jeho, page
Rasakundalam
290.
Gokule Brajamanam.
Starts with Namami Ishvaram. Namisvaram. Easy word. I've been trained to sing with the harmonium, so. All together? No?
I guess so, together. Namami Sharam Sachidananda Rupam Dasatandanam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda
Sri Damodar Ashtakam is eternal. Therefore we should study it, sing it out loud, and discuss it, not only during the month of Karti, but every day throughout Chaturmasya. It is so important that it is worth reading every month, and indeed every day of the year. If this Damodar Ashtakam is glorified in a sublimely pure way, Sri Damodar will be pleased.
Jai. Thank you for pulling out that quote. I remember when we were studying Sri Damodar Ashtakam, reading that from Param Gurudev, and what an impression it made within us. So, what a beautiful prayer. You see Radhika.
I'm just going to continue with Karti.
Okay. Because we have been speaking about Sri Radha Vino Bihari Tattvashtakam regularly. In fact, yesterday I quoted that, where is it? Say, no. Shakti Shakti Natoraikyam Yugapad Vartade Sada Bheda Bhedam Achintyakam. So I was talking about Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva, and this Ashtakam was composed from the heart of our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, and honestly it is rarely sung. Yes, page 272, Sri Radha Vino Bihari Tattvashtakam.
Just give them a minute to get it. Starts with Radha Chinta, C-I-N-T-A. Radha Chinta Niveshana. Is it all together or? Kishori? I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
singing. Radha Chinta Niveshino Yasya Kanti Vilokita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Vindita Vigraham Radha Chinta Niveshino Yasya Kanti Vilokita Shri Krishna Charanam Vande Radha Vindita Vigraham Sejo Sejo Sambhove Tayor Heda Bhuto Bhave Chitrarambe Sarvasya Heda Sada Vivardhate Seja Seva Sambhove Tayor Heda Bhuto Bhave Chitrarambe Sarvasya Heda Sada Vivardhate Shakti, Shakti, Jai Shri Nata Jai Gaura Hari Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaja ki
Jai.
jai.
Is it raining?
Probably.
It's pouring.
Okay.
I hope we don't lose. Let them know that they have been. It's monsoon,
So we've been experiencing plenty of rainfall for the last week. It comes every day or two, and quite a lot of it. It's already rained a couple of times today. So I think the monsoon season has begun. Today earlier, we were with one other devotee, and I was hearing rumbling of thunder. And it was a beautiful quote that was posted recently about Krishna.
I know you started pretending to play the flute.
Yeah, I
while they
started
were
doing this
talking.
as soon as I heard the...
And they were talking to us, and he's like playing the flute.
I was so excited.
I pretended not to notice.
It was a really serious conversation too. But I heard the distant rumbling of thunder. And Krishna's flute song is compared to that deep thunder from a distance before the storm begins. You know, from a distance you hear that deep rumbling of thunder. Not that loud crackling, you know, with the lightning that we hear sometimes, but that deep, thunderous rumble.
Like from far away and coming closer.
There's even a name for it, which I forgot, but it starts with an M. Anyway, when I started hearing that, I was getting a little excited and I started doing this.
They were talking and I just thought that's not happening.
Our Gurudev Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja was expert at hand gestures while he was describing Krishna and his pastimes or anything.
Or harmonium or mridanga.
He even made, when he was showing, oh, you should play mridanga like this, he would bite his bottom lip and or when he would do harmonium, he would go like this. Or when he would play Krishna's flute, he would be like this. He was very expert in all of these hand gestures. But anyhow, I got excited. So the reason I'm telling you this is because when the rain comes, sometimes lightning comes and wind comes and storms come, then the internet here, which is already not the most stable, can become a little less stable or sometimes even unstable. So please forgive us in advance if we're not able to maintain consistent connection, but by heart we are maintaining connection. So we will endeavor our best to continue to endeavor to follow the order of our Gurudev, to serve him and serve you, and also help ourselves by remembering to try to endeavor to follow his teachings and instructions. One second.
What is happening?
I have to plug my phone in, otherwise we'll lose the Tampura.
That's okay.
But I need it for leaving this.
I don't like the Prabhu so much.
So now we're going to pray to Sri Harinam Prabhu in the form of Mahamantra. It is the disappearance day today of Sri Vangshidas Babaji and the day of Sri Raghunandan Thakur. So we're going to sing what Gurudev called Vipralambha. Vipralambha means separation mood. One time Gurudev just looked at Krishnadas and said Vipralambha. And Krishnadas stood up and then began singing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. गुरुवे गौरचंद्राय राधिकाय तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्ण भक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपदाय राधिकाय प्रियात्मने श्रीश्रीमद् भक्तिवेदान्त नारायण नामिने। नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्य नामिने। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangam langayate girin, yat kripatamaham bande, Shri Gurum Dinatarinam. First of all, I offer my Dandava Pranam thousands of times in the dust of the lotus feet of our beloved Gurudev. Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaja. And the same thousands of Dandava Pranam in the dust of the lotus feet of Nitya Lila Pravishta Vishnupad, astottara Shri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, and to all of our Rupananga Gauriya Guru Varga, especially on this day, the day of the disappearance anniversary of two very great personalities, Sri Raghunandan Thakur and Sri Vangshidas Babaji. I offer my Dandava Pranam in their lotus feet. And also to all Vaishnavas, past, present, and future, including all of you who are present with us today, I offer my Dandava Pranam. So, as I just mentioned, today is the disappearance anniversary of Sri Raghunandan Thakur and Sri Vangshidas Babaji. Unfortunately, I was busy with other sevas today and did not have a very, sufficient time to delve into their glories. But anyhow, what I remember, what I have read, what I've heard from Vaishnavas, I will try my best, and then we will continue with going beyond Vaikuntha. So, on the appearance and disappearance of Vaishnavas, we always hear that there is no difference. Technically, there's no difference, but there is still speciality. Because they are always present, they're always transcendental, and they are connectable to us if we sincerely pray to them for their mercy. In the same way that Sri Guru, we still, while Guru is physically present, or after the physical departure of Sri Guru from our vision, we're still chanting the same mantras to Gurudev. O Gurudev, please come, please take Achman, now please offer this bhog to Shri Radha and Krishna, Sachinandan Gaurahari. We called Gurudev when he was physically present, although he may not have been in our country, wherever we were physically located, but still, by mantra and by mind, by heart, we called him to make himself present. We requested him to make himself present and to do this seva. And then after his physical departure from our vision, still we continue to do the same thing. With this faith, we call on Gurudev, that he is not an ordinary mortal like myself. He is transcendental. He is not subject to all of these material things of this world. He is transcendental, and therefore he is eternal and has the power to hear my call and to answer that call. That is why Raghunath Das Goswami and other Vaishnavas suggest that when we are being attacked or plagued by so many different diseases, especially the disease of lust, hridrogam, the disease of anger, the disease of greed, madness, envy, pride, and all of these other things, that we should loudly and boldly call out, for there's great generals on the path of bhakti, like our 6 Goswamis, who can and will help us if we are sincerely calling to them for their mercy. So in the same way, the Vaishnavas, the pure devotees, they appear in this world in front of our vision and then disappear. But we should understand that actually they are always available to us if we are sincere and we cry and pray to them for help. There is a difference in the speciality of the appearance and disappearance. Even though we understand that in one sense, according to tattva, from the perspective of tattva, there is no difference still from the perspective of rasa, or relationship, because of the development of mamata due to intimate service, vishrambha seva. Mamata means a possessive mood which develops due to either defending a Vaishnava, defending them. If someone is criticizing my Gurudev, I become very adamantly opposed to that, and I defend my Gurudev. And this creates a bond, a stronger bond of mamata. It's natural. So with that personal or intimate feeling of relationship, this is the realm of rasa, then one will feel deep separation upon the physical disappearance of their Gurudev. Although in tattva they know that he's always present, still there's a feeling of separation. In either case, remembering Sri Guru because of the pastimes he manifested during his presence, physical presence, or feeling separation from him, we're still remembering those pastimes. And as we remember those pastimes, we will feel separation, and as we're feeling separation, we will remember those pastimes. And even when we're remembering the meeting, we still remember the separation. So in that separation, more meeting takes place in a more acute way. Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj explained that if there's a family and they have a son, and that son is around the house all the time, sometimes leaving his papers here and there, his pencils, not taking care to clean up after himself, those things can become an annoyance. And you'll say, hey, clean them up. Don't leave a mess for us. But if that son happened to leave this world, then what would take place? Then everything would be a source of remembrance. Very acute source of remembrance for that son. That pencil, which used to be an annoyance, will be the source of the greatest separation. He would use this pencil, this notebook, these things which used to maybe be taken for granted, now become a source of acute remembrance for us. So in separation, one can even feel a more deep kind of connection to any person. Or to speak of any person of this world, also, especially to a divine personality. Srila Gurudeva Maharaj said that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to open a crying school. Through the medium of separation. Yugaitam nimeshena chakshusha pravrishaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahena me. Feeling that one moment in separation from Govinda is like millions of yugas, and that the entire universe feels vacant in absence without his presence. This is separation. Now, in one sense, according to Tattva, wherever Krishna's transcendental pure holy name is being vibrated, then he is actually present in that place. That is the Tattva. So the gopis are always remembering Krishna purely, chanting his names, vibrating his pastimes, his glories. And so, in one sense, he is fully present there. But still, because of this vipralambha bhav, the feeling or the mood of separation, they are feeling that he is not there, although he is saying, I come every day, I am here. But still this bhav makes them feel like this. But that bhav is so great, the feeling of separation, that it has the power to attract Krishna. Our Gurudev used to frequently request that we sing any pathetic mood, pathetic meaning evoking the mood of pathos, the mood of crying, feeling of separation. Whenever we would do kirtan, Srila Gurudev used to request this, that I want that mood. And that is because it is very attractive to Krishna. If anyone is feeling, oh, everything is good, let's party, let's have fun, let's chant the name, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But there's no connection there. There's no feeling of calling out. There's no mood of separation. This will not be attractive to the ears of Krishna. But one tear, Gurudev said. Krishna likes one tear more than thousands of words. It means you can chant so many prayers, even Purusha Shukta, and if you're just rattling them off, but not feeling anything in your heart, this is not as attractive to Krishna as one tear. And maybe because of those tears, the voice will choke up, because it also comes inside the throat. But what does Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say? Gad gad, nayanam galarashru dharaya. Tears are flowing from my eyes. Vadanam gad gad rudhaya gira. From my voice, I cannot even call out the name of Krishna. Gad gad gad, it's choked up. Pulakaya nichitam vapukada. And the hairs of my body are standing on end. Kada, when? Tavanama grahane bhavishyati. He's actually saying, when, oh when will this day come? When I am chanting your name, that these symptoms take place. But we all know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was experiencing these Like at Rath Yatra festival, it is said that he was weeping so much that his tears would soak everyone within a 10-foot distance. We can't even imagine such beautiful tears. But one tear is more than thousands of prayers if they don't have any feeling within them. So Krishna is attracted to this. And even the mistakes, those things, the imperfections, the love and affection which comes to him in the form of imperfection because of that love and affection is so attractive to him. Case in point, the banana peel that the wife of Vidura was feeding Krishna. She became so confused, instead of giving him the banana, she gave him the peel. He was relishing this. So separation and these moods which come from separation are so attractive. And to cry out with separation mood to the Vaishnavas, this is extremely powerful, extremely beneficial for bhajan, because it means one is really sincerely crying, one is really sincerely praying for their mercy, which is really essential. Karuna na hoile, kandiya kandiya, prana na rakhibo ar. Without your mercy, karuna na hoile, weeping and weeping, kandiya kandiya, prana na rakhibo ar, I will not be able to maintain my life. Crying out like this, it attracts their mercy. They come running. Gurudev said, like any mother, if a child is going in the other room, making some kind of noise, but they're not really serious, the mother knows which call is real and which call is not. So she'll keep doing whatever she's doing. She's busy, she has so many chores to attend to, but if that child is really, really crying, then she will put down everything and run to comfort that child. In the same way, Srila Gurudev said, if anyone is always with me and serving so much, my mercy is certainly with them. But if any of my disciples may be very far away, in some distant land, in some distant country, but they're making a strong endeavor to follow what I have instructed, weeping and crying and chanting and endeavoring to serve and follow my instruction, he said, what to speak of my mercy being with them? My heart melts and runs to them. I cannot help it. So this is how one's endeavor with tears, with the feeling of separation, will attract the mercy of the pure devotee. And so the pure devotees mercifully disappear from our vision. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, no, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, our Srila Gurudev had told on the disappearance festival of his Guru Maharaj that this is the sole reason for the disappearance of Sri Guru or the Vaishnavas from our vision, to increase this mood of separation by which seva bhav, the mood to serve, is increased infinitely. So this increases the mood of seva. By hearing about Vaishnavas, especially from other pure Vaishnavas, then the mood of closeness and mamata comes toward them. Oh, I know this Vaishnava. I've heard about them from my Gurudev. Oh, he has so much honor for this Vaishnava. Now I have honor for this Vaishnava through my Gurudev. And the more we describe the glories of transcendental personalities, the more they sit within our heart. A samskar, impressions are made. Yes, this is also my family, Gaur Parivar. So they appear and also disappear so that we can remember their glories for our benefit. Because to remember Guru, Vaishnava and Bhagavan, then all ignorance is destroyed and all auspiciousness manifests in its place. So today is the disappearance anniversary of Sri Raghunandan Thakur, an associate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What do I know about him? Not much, as I told earlier. However, it is said that he is one of the Chatur Vyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradumna, Aniruddha. He is a manifestation of Pradumna, who in Dwarka Lila is the son of Krishna. The son of Krishna. And he is the father of Aniruddha, the grandson of Krishna. So there's so many pastimes related to Pradumna, which I'm not going to tell now, but Raghunandan Thakur is said to be a manifestation of him. All of this Pradumna, of the Chatur Vyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradumna, Aniruddha. But there are, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or whenever any form of the Lord manifests in this world, so many of the demigods and so many other forms, including Krishna's own forms, are requested to manifest in this world. So the demigods take birth in the Yadu dynasty in advance and play in the Leela with Krishna. And also we see here, Pradyumna himself is manifesting in the Leela of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as Raghunandan Thakur. Raghunandan Thakur is also said to have a form in Krishna's Leela in Vrindavan as one of the, what do you call it? Priyanarma Sakhas. Very near and dear friends of Krishna. Priyanarma Sakha. There are Priyanarma Sakhis and Priyanarma Sakhas. Priyanarma Sakhas are like Krishna's dearest, closest friends, like Madhumangal, Sridam, Sudam, Dama, Sudam. These are Krishna's nearest and dearest. So they are Priyanarma Sakhas. So it is said that this Raghunandan Thakur also in Brajalila is Priyanarma Sakha. So I apologize in advance that I don't know much more about him at this time, but after class I will have to put some energy into studying and remembering his glories for my own benefit. And also, if you know anything more, you can send something or post something here for others' benefit. Also today is the disappearance festival of Shri Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj. You may have seen a picture of him. He looks quite amazing, quite wild, long hair and beard, only kopins. Kopins are very, simple form of underwear. One strap tied here, another strap tied in front and hooked behind, and no other belongings. Only chanting and remembering the sweet pastimes of Radha and Krishna, Sachinandan Gaura Hari, 24 hours a day. As I mentioned the other day, there are certain personalities who appear in this world. Actually, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj explained that they're always here. Sometimes they manifest externally, and sometimes we don't see them, but still they're present in the pastimes of the Lord or in Sri Navadvip Dham. He said this in relation to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada and Srila Gaur Kishoras Babaji Maharaj. So Srila Bhakti Das Babaji Maharaj was known to be Uttam Adhikari Avadut Vaisnava. Uttam Adhikari means topmost qualification. There's 3 different main levels of Vaishnavas, and between these different levels there are millions of degrees. So we cannot say exactly which degree anyone is, not necessarily. But Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj was considered to be Uttam Mahabhagavat Vaishnava. Means there was no attraction to anything in this material world, completely absorbed, kalam nayad, 24 hours a day in the service of Shri Radha and Krishna, Sachinandan Gaura Hari, within his mind, within his heart, and also physically serving the deity form of the Lord. And always taking shelter of Sri Harinam Prabhu. And the nature of these Uttam Vaishnavas is that they see everything with equal vision. And they don't like to be disturbed by any mundane thing of this world. Mercifully, some of them step into the role of Madhyam Adhikari, or middle level Vaishnavas, for the purpose of helping us. The Uttam is there, but they don't really interact so much with the people of this world. Rather, they see their Ishtadev present within everything. They see that everything is the working of Krishna and that everything is going on exactly as Krishna wills it. There is nothing to adjust, nothing to change, nothing to do. Everything and everyone is serving Krishna's will. So this is the nature of the Uttam Vaishnava. And then some people go, wait a second, well, if that's how they are seeing it, then that must be how it really is. So let me see it like that. Except we should not jump above our adhikar and pretend that we are Uttam Vaishnavas. Then we are pretenders. So we shouldn't pretend that I have the ability to see from their perspective. They are seeing like that. Their nature is such that they're completely absorbed in tasting loving service to Sri Sri Radha and Krishna, that they don't need to do anything else. Krishna is managing and taking care of everything. But those who are in Kanishta or Madhyam may need to manage and take care of things and do things like this. So one should not jump or pretend that they are above their adhikar, their qualification, And one should not project that another person is above their adhikar as well, or else it can create difficulties and problems. But we must understand that the topmost personalities are seeing that everything is serving more than themselves, and this is also due to their humility, which is a natural effect of their bhakti. Like Srimati Radhika, she sees the clouds, how they are following Krishna and giving shade to him when the sun is very hot, and how they are gently sprinkling. She thinks, oh, I'm not able to serve Krishna, but this cloud is serving Krishna so nicely. And look how these trees are serving Krishna, giving him so much shade and giving him so many sweet fruits and flowers. She sees everything is serving Krishna more than herself. And she desires that at the end of my life, let the waters of my body merge into Yamuna, so that when Krishna takes his bath, the waters of my body can embrace Krishna. Let the airs of my body merge into the atmosphere, so that when Krishna is walking through, that the air will embrace him and I will also embrace him in this way. Right? She's feeling like this. Let the matter or the earth of my body merge with the earth, so that when Krishna is walking, I may receive the dust of his lotus feet. This is the moods of deep humility. And the pure Vaishnavas have some of this. I'm talking about Uttam Vaishnavas. Have some semblance of this kind of mood, where they see that everything is serving Krishna perfectly, so there's nothing to worry about, nothing to do. And they're constantly just chanting and remembering Krishna. And by their presence in this world, everything continues to move. By their presence. Just by their presence, so much transcendental benefit is radiating out because of their pure, unalloyed service to Krishna. But they also don't like to mix with the worldly-minded persons of this world. So somehow they have the idea that there are also worldly-minded persons. Why? Because they're feeling themselves so lowly. So simultaneously, two different things are going on. In one sense, they see everything is perfect. In another sense, they're saying, whoa, I don't want to associate with ordinary, worldly-minded persons or hear Gramyakta because I'm so weak, it might affect me and take me away from my service to Krishna. So personalities like Banshidas Babaji Maharaj, he would stay very, very austere, only with his kopin. He only had underwear, that was it. And that's all he would wear. And he was quite like a wild character. It is said that sometimes he would keep things outside of his home. Find some old fish bones and old cigarette butts. His home was what? Maybe a grass hut, thatched hut, something of that character. He didn't have any fancy dwelling. It was very, very simple. And he was just chanting and remembering 24 hours a day. But why would he keep these things outside? Because immediately people would see them and go, that doesn't look like a sadhu. I don't want to associate with such a person. And then he would feel, I don't need to be disturbed by all of these mundane kinds of personalities who would come and only want to disrupt and disturb for any material reason. But also they're feeling themselves very lowly and very humble. So this Banshidas Babaji Maharaj, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was also there at the time of Banshidas Babaji Maharaj. You see a photo of Banshidas Babaji Maharaj. But he would not really allow most of his disciples to see him or visit him. Especially the young ones, the neophytes. Why? Because neophytes do not have the ability to discriminate or distinguish properly. They will see something on the external, and then they will judge or misjudge and make aparad or offense. Of course, what is the internal nature of such a person? They have no material desire, no attraction to anything of this material world. They are the most renounced, and they have the most heavy kind of tapasya that they engage in. It means austerity. They don't engage in any nonsensical, material, mundane activities, and that's how you define them as uttam or transcendental. Shushrishaya bhajana vidyam ananyamanya means exclusive, one-pointed, ananya bhakti, without any tendency to criticize anyone else. They don't see anything else. They only remain in their bhajan. And very mercifully, some of those personalities take the role of madhyam adhikari in order to discriminate, to help us, for our benefit, to move from our material samsara, means our endless repetition of birth, disease, old age, and death, trapped in the mental state on the platform of the mind. Manorathena means the chariot of the mind. We're stuck in this platform, mind, intelligence, and ego, body, and all attachments to the body. Aham mameti, I and mine. To pull us from this point toward the point of transcendental loving service to Krishna in the fastest way possible. So this is their mercy upon us, that some will manifest in such a form as Madhyam Adhikari Vaishnavas and awaken bhakti within our hearts by their association. Bhakti meaning awaken and increase that awakening of the desire to serve Krishna for Krishna's happiness, pleasure, and benefit. So by the mercy of these great personalities, the earth continues, the universe continues, everything within the universe continues. Our Guru Varga have told that without the presence of a pure devotee in this world, everything would cease to exist in a moment. Why? Because the entire purpose for the material creation is so that Krishna can give his mercy, and his mercy manifests in the form of pure devotees. So it seems kind of codependent. Because his mercy manifests in the form of pure devotees, Krishna Kripa Shri Murti, or the form of Krishna's mercy in this world, is his pure devotee, as is told in the first verse of Shri Guru Ashtakam, Samsara Davana Lavidhaloka, Tranaya Karunya Ghana Ghanatvam, Praptasya Kalyana Gunarnavasya Vande Guru Shri Charanara. That hearing the crying of the jivas of this world, Krishna's mercy, which is like the ocean, takes a form like a cloud and is able to go over any burning heart and extinguish that blazing forest fire. That is Shri Guru, the condensed form of the mercy of Krishna and the Vaishnavas as well. So, by their presence, everything in this world is manifesting. In Jaiva Dharma, I believe it is chapter 16, if I'm not wrong, there Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur is telling that because Krishna has this nature or tendency to have compassion, and from that feeling of compassion, naturally, the giving of mercy also must be present, then something is required to fulfill that nature. And it's quite a prominent nature of the Lord's. The feeling of compassion and the tendency to give mercy. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindho. Oh Krishna, you are an ocean of mercy. Dina Bandho, you are the friend of the fallen. Right? So this is his nature. He cannot help himself to give mercy and to have compassion. Well, if he has compassion and needs to give mercy, it has to go to someone. So where will it go? Someone who needs his mercy. Who is that? All of the jiva souls in all of the universes. We require that mercy. So the purpose of the entire creation is so that Krishna could give his mercy and so that we could receive his mercy and then act upon that mercy to move forward along with that mercy. So his mercy manifests in this world in so many different ways, in so many different forms. As Srila Govinda Maharaj said, mercy ropes are hanging and we are trapped here, so we need to hold on tightly. So one of these great mercy ropes is Sri Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj, Uttam Bhagavat, and also Avadhut. So Avadhut means his activities are not always understandable by the Kanishtas of this world, or the pre-Kanishtas, or the materialists of this world. In spirit, huh?
He would chastise his Gornitai.
Are you sure that was him?
Yeah.
Sudevi said he would chastise his Gornitai. You sure that wasn't Gauridas Pandit?
No, it was also Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj.
There's a lot of similarities in the pastimes of Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj and Gauridas Pandit.
And if anyone would ask him any question, he would only answer through them. He would speak to them.
Did you hear that? So he wouldn't even answer directly, but he would answer through speaking to his Gornitai. Very, very interesting character. And I'm using the word character because it's not always easy to understand. We have seen our Srila Prabhupada, and we have seen our Srila Gurudev, and Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj, and Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj, and Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, Bhakti Vigyan Bharati. We've seen these persons and their character, how dignified they are, how clear they are, how they're able to interact with us, and how they're able to relate with us in such a way that our honor, our admiration, our inspiration increases so much by being able to follow their perfect, pure, and transcendental character. But there are other pure devotees who manifest avadhut symptoms, like Nityananda Prabhu. Sometimes he does very funny things that people don't understand. Like he broke Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's danda and threw it in the river. He broke his danda. Why? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received sannyas from Keshav Bharati, who received sannyas in the line of Mayavadis. So Mahaprabhu had ekadanda, one danda, which meant everything is one. Nityananda Prabhu could not tolerate this, so he took Mahaprabhu's danda and broke it in 3 pieces and threw it in the river. What does this represent? From the outside, people would go, "Oh my God, you just broke his danda." Do you know that the danda is the Thakurji of a sannyasi? It's their Thakurji. They worship that. So Nityananda broke it in 3 pieces and threw it in the river. Why? He's showing that actually 3 things are necessary. What is that? Krishna, his Shakti, and the relationship between Krishna and his Shakti. That means Krishna and Srimati Radhika and love and affection. Krishna and the Jiva and love and affection. 3. Or you can say Hari Guru Vaisnava. So many definitions of this meaning of 3. But from an external perspective, it looks wild, avadhut. And like the other day, we spoke about Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Gadadhar Pandit himself was not able to understand Pundarik Vidyanidhi. And so many persons were not able to understand Banshidas, Babaji Maharaj. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada also would not send his disciples, his young disciples at the time, maybe considered neophyte by himself. We know them as stalwart authorities and transcendental personalities, but from the perspective of their guru, they may be his babies. And they're seeing him as their father. How our Gurudev would weep for his Gurudev. Every time it was the appearance or disappearance, he would just try to say his pranam and would begin weeping. And he would talk about his Gurudev. Well, my Gurudev thought that maybe we might not be able to handle things, so he was very concerned. And also Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, if it's necessary to sell the bricks of the temple in order that you will be able to maintain yourself in your seva, then you can do that. Gurudev would laugh. He said we were all quite adults and we were very capable, but still our Gurudev was always concerned and worried for us how we will be able to maintain. And you see how our Srila Prabhupada was at the time of his departure from our vision in this world. How he was so concerned. Make sure you tell them, he was telling our Gurudev, tell them to work together, not to quarrel amongst each other, that everyone should work together in a united way, and they should also work with the other Gaudiya Mats, that we can all together preach the mission of Mahaprabhu. I'm so worried for them. And Prabhupada was worried for his young disciples. In the same way, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada was concerned for his young disciples and didn't allow everyone the free right to go and meet with these avadhut-like personalities, whose activities are not always easy to comprehend for someone who may be still in the Kanishta stage or beginning level of devotion. Because the nature of Kanishta Vaishnava, and I'm speaking about, if I'm even that, I hope one day I will attain that. When Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj was given that title, one devotee said, "Oh, I've determined that you are Kanishta Vaishnava." Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj threw his arms in the air and said, "Hari Bol! I never thought that in this life I would attain to the status of Vaishnava. This is the first clear confirmation. So today is a very wonderful day." Of course, we all understand that he is so high, so transcendental, so elevated, but still he accepted this glorification in such a sweet and beautiful way. So what is the nature of Kanishta? They have faith in their Gurudev. They have faith in Thakurji, but they don't know how to honor other Vaishnavas properly. They don't know how to respect them properly. And because of that, it may be easy to make aparad. So this is a very dangerous and scary thing to do, to make aparad. There's one shloka in Srimad Bhagavatam, I believe it is Krishna who is speaking. He's saying, I'm not at all afraid of even the thunderbolt of Indra, or any other kind of thing like that of this world, but I am afraid of offending a Brahmana. This is what is said in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's quite an interesting subject. So because of this, then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada would keep his disciples a little bit carefully, so that there was no potential for them to see those kinds of external faults in the Vaishnava. Drishtai svabhava janitair vapushashta doshai na prakritattvamiha bhakta janasya pashyat gangam hasam na kalubudbudapena pankar brahmadravatvam apagacchati nirdharmai. That the pure devotee, although he may have some external defect, maybe he might be crippled, like Ashtavakra Rishi, or he may be not so beautiful, or he may be missing some teeth, or he maybe even expresses some anger at some times, or things like that. We should understand that this is not a subject of the material world. We should see that they are still transcendental, just like Ganga, although she may have foam, bubbles, mud, or even dead bodies floating through from time to time, still she is always transcendental. So sometimes we may see these kinds of things in any pure Vaishnava, but it is necessary for us to always be under guidance so that we can ascertain and understand things properly. Because on our own, it is very easy to make mistakes. We will look at one person and say, this is a pure devotee, when they might actually be completely bogus. Or we might look at a bogus person, a pure devotee, a real pure devotee, and think he's bogus, although he may be pure. And this is the nature of the conditioned soul. We will think a snake is a rope and a rope is a snake, and we won't be able to discern or discriminate properly. So it is always necessary to be under guidance of pure Vaishnavas. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is saying that Vangshidas Babaji is Uttam Bhagavat Vaishnava, then I cannot understand through my own vision because it looks different. I don't know. His character looks quite avadut. So then, pranam from a distance so that I don't make any aparad, but I should give my honor and respect. Shri Vangshidas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Shri Raghunandan Thakur ki jai. I just need to back up a little bit here before I continue going beyond Vaikuntha with all of you. Oh, thank you, Jiva Pavana Prabhu, for posting that beautiful quote about the flute. The one that was mentioned regarding the thunder. I think someone posted it yesterday. It was just beautiful. I can't remember where it was, but even there was a word for it. Started with an M, and it was referring to that particular kind of thunder. Okay. Oh, so many beautiful Harikathas are being given here. If you scroll to Jiva Pavana Prabhu's quote, the quotes that he's posting, they're very powerful and very beneficial. Susan Moon, it's hard to imagine or even think that so many of these terrible things going on in this world as Krishna's will, that we don't have to do anything. I also understand that I have no power to do anything but cry. I wish I didn't struggle so much trusting Krishna consciousness. How do I not worry about making money to support myself and find time to be in service by hearing these teachings you dedicate your life to? How do you find the time and support yourself as well? That's a very personal question. So I will not refer to it very personally, but I will refer to it in terms of the instructions and the teachings of Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. There's something called Shraddha, faith. And this faith is not a material thing, but it is a product of the association of the pure Vaishnavas. And that faith is such, by its definition, Shraddha, Shabde, Vishwas, Kohe, Sudridar, Nishtoy, Krishna Bhakti Koile, Sarvakarma Kritavai. That by being under the shelter of the pure Vaishnavas and following their instructions to undergo and to endeavor in the path of bhakti by following all of the principles and aspects of bhakti that our Gurudev has instructed us to do. If one is following that process and endeavoring to do so, Shraddha means the firm conviction that just by doing so, then all of my material obligations are automatically taken care of. And this is a tough pill to swallow, because Krishna also says in Bhagavatam that when I give special mercy, I remove everything, all of one's attachments, all of their ability, and make them penniless and make them a beggar. Krishna says this in Bhagavatam. So how do you draw the reconciliation between these two? It's quite an interesting dynamic. But Krishna Bhakti koile sarvakarma krita hoy. By doing the activities of Krishna Bhakti, means dedicating one's life in love and affection to the service of Krishna, then automatically all of one's material obligations are taken care of. And we've seen this in the life of Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, all of our Rupanuga Guru Varga, but also in so many others' lives who have really made an honest endeavor to follow 100% to the best of their ability, 100% the teachings and the order of Sri Guru. And I'm using the word Sri Guru different than just Guru, because there are so many persons who take the role of Guru. But Sri Guru is not an ordinary personality. Sri Guru is sent by Krishna, who is carrying the mood of Srimati Radhika's loving service to Krishna. When we come under the guidance of such a person and they give us any instruction, if we follow that instruction, if we make the endeavor to follow that instruction, then we will see. And I know there are many persons who have experienced this very practically, not just our Guru Varga, but we will see practically that everything is maintained. In this material world, if we work for ourselves, in one sense it's working for our own sense gratification or even for Maya, then we see, yes, we have to work. But if you work for someone, they maintain you, right? So if we're working for someone, any company, we have our job, then they pay us. If we work for Guru and Krishna, does Krishna have any lacking of opportunity or possibility to maintain anyone? Lakshmi is his own property. All of that money that we work so hard for is the property of Krishna. Can he not provide for those who are working for him, who consider him their Lord and Master, and who are serving him? So in our case, in mine and Sudevi's case, we haven't had a job in 20 years. A regular job. We haven't needed it. And it's not that we're qualified or super smart or anything or super good at anything, but Gurudev gave us an order. Simply, I don't want you in Fiji, I want you traveling the world and preaching. Strong like that. I don't want you, I want you doing this. Okay. And it was frightening as anything. So frightening. But immediately he started showing us, don't worry. In fact, right after he gave that order to Sudevi, he was literally pointing in her face from this close. I don't want you in Fiji, I want you traveling the world and preaching. And she was really concerned and worried. And then he was getting in the car the very next morning to leave. We were in Australia, I believe, at the time. And Sudevi was crying. Because, what a strong order. And how are we going to do that? We're in our early 20s. We're in our early 20s. What do we know? We're like babies. Of course, we were born in ISKCON and we were raised in the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, but still, when we came to Gurudev, most of us, our first experience coming to Gurudev was, oh my God, I know nothing. And then we felt, I can learn so much from this person. We realized at that moment, it was like, I know nothing. But Gurudev told us, I want you to travel the world and preach. What are we going to preach? And he said, what you know now, go and preach. We don't know much. We're not this body, we're a pure spirit soul, we're part and parcel of Krishna, Hare Krishna. That's what he said, what you know now. Not what you're studying and memorizing, but what you have digested. You should preach, he said that. So Sudevi was weeping and crying, and Brajanath says to Gurudev, "Oh, Gurudev, look, Sudevi's crying." And then Gurudev came over to us. And Gurudev said, "Don't worry for money. It will come." And I said, "Gurudev, we're not worried for money. We just want to please you." And he said, "Oh, then even more will come." And he started doing this motion. I told you he's expert in hand motions. He said, like milk from the sky. He started milking the sky. And Sudevi was thinking, but milk doesn't come from the sky. And she was just crying, and then Gurudev gets in the car and leaves. And we were just like, oh my God. We're like in our early 20s, and he's just told us to give up this farm that had more than $500,000 worth of crops still in the ground, and we had nothing. It was all just in process. And he said, leave it immediately. Don't take a penny with you. What are we going to do? And we were completely like confused. But still we had the desire in our heart to follow Gurudev's order. He told us, do this strongly. So we're standing there, and I'm in shock, and Sudevi's just standing there crying, and we're looking at Gurudev's car. He's just left and just literally turned our entire life upside down. No job. He said, I don't want you to have any job. I don't want you to have any place or any like solid source of dependence on this or that. No jobs in this world. I want you to follow my order and travel and preach. Somebody came up behind Sudevi and tapped her. She turned around and she said, I saw Gurudev yesterday yelling at you. How he was yelling at you and pointing and saying, I want you to travel the world and preach. She said, so I want to be the first to give you a donation. We were like, what? And she handed Sudevi an envelope. And Sudevi looked in that envelope, and there was 2,000 British pounds. 2,000. And that was even more frightening. Oh no, that means we're going to have to do this. We can't just go back to where we were. Gurudev is saying, look, I can provide for you much better than you provide for yourself. Now you're pinching pennies, desperately struggling. But you can travel the world and not worry for all of these things and continue your service. Continue following my instruction. And we realized very, very quickly that our business plan, with 300-acre farm, 10 people working full-time for us every single day, me staying up all night feeding fire into the dryers, these big kava dryers, that's what we call them, feeding logs into it, and all of the hard endeavor that we had to do, and then recycling whatever money would come back into the farms and barely able to give Gurudev a $50 donation. After that, every time we were seeing him, we were easily able to just give him hundreds, 500 or 1,000 without batting an eyelid. And it's not that we had money left over after that. But donation was coming. Here you go, Gurudev. And then the next moment, more would come. Here you go. The next moment, more would come. And we realized we're not dependent on our own endeavors in this world. But if we serve Gurudev with an honest and simple heart, even though we're not qualified, he is showing the proof of what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityabhyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. Now Krishna uses the word ananya, exclusive or one-pointed. But we know that Gurudev is like, what did Srila Prabhupada say? Our advocate in court. You know your lawyer? He's a personal friend of the judge. So maybe we're meant to have certain kind of punishment or anything, but the lawyer can argue the point, you know what? I'm taking him under my personal care. So you might owe thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars, but the judge will slap you with a fine of only $1 and say, yes, but you must stay under his care. So Gurudev, under Gurudev's care, he gives us some semblance of what Krishna is promising, that this should boost your faith. And this is our own personal experience. In the beginning, in fact, I was thinking, oh, this is just coincidence. But when a coincidence happens 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, it's no longer a coincidence, it becomes a science. And you look at our Shastra, you look at so many of the devotees, Vaijanti Mala Didi, Vrindavan Vilasini Didi, Vichitra Didi, I'm just thinking about the ones who are just surrounding us in Gopinath Bhavan. Tungavidya Didi, Uma Didi. Have you seen Uma Didi with a job lately? I don't think she's had a job ever. She's almost 90 years old. Almost 90. And she's able to cook the most amazing feasts every single day. With like so many different preparations. How is she able to do that? She's dedicated her life to serving Guru and Vaishnavas, to serving Mahaprabhu and Krishna. And so you see the proof in these personalities. They don't have to worry about maintaining themselves because they are working for Krishna. So Krishna is maintaining and providing.
Under guidance from the order, not on my own.
This is an important thing Sudevi is saying. Under guidance from the order coming from above. Not on my own, but under guidance from the order coming from above. Not independently. Then we will see, oh, Krishna is providing in every way. Some others will take it the other way. Oh, Krishna is providing so much, so let me stash it and make a bank account out of it. And then when I have enough, I will buy a big house for myself. Oh, devotees, I have this project. You should all invest in my project. And now I will make a nice house for myself. This is not taking this mood properly of service to Krishna or dedication and faith. So you ask that question, and I'm endeavoring to reply in the most simple. Sudevi?
Yeah?
Have you checked lately?
I didn't see any. I saw the last.
Okay.
It doesn't go up,
Yeah, it looks like it froze. But anyway, okay. Let me see where she is again. Oh, no.
Yeah, it doesn't go.
Okay, no problem. So, when I refreshed it, I can't see any previous messages or anything. Wow.
No,
Oh.
it's just close. It's
Okay,
not...
okay. Oh, there it is. So if we endeavor, there's two things. There's the general order of Gurudev and there's the personal order of Gurudev. Many people ask, well, Gurudev didn't give me a personal order. The question is, have we made an honest endeavor to follow the general order? If we make an honest endeavor to follow the general order, then we should or could expect or hope to receive a personal order. But if we're not making any endeavor, then why would Gurudev or any Vaishnava feel inclined to give something which is more specific? If we're not even able to or willing to follow the general instruction. So that general instruction applies to everyone. What Gurudev is saying from the Vyasa Asana, what Gurudev is telling in his books, and I'm talking about Sri Guru, all Sri Gurus. What they're speaking in general. You should do this, don't do that, do this, don't do that. Chant like this, meditate, remember like this. Endeavoring to follow the instructions of Sri Guru in a general way. When they see that we are sincere and we are making an honest endeavor, then they will give the next installment, as Srila Gurudeva Maharaja says. And they will give an order. I see that you're making this endeavor. Now I'm giving you an order. What are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up? If you want Krishna Bhakti, the highest, most valuable treasure, can you give me something? We have to give something up. Whatever thing that we might feel is very important or urgent or something which we might need in this world. So Devi, close your ears for a second. When Sudevi was younger, she always wanted children. Lots of them. 10. She loved children. She didn't necessarily want a husband, but she wanted lots of children. But she doesn't have any herself directly. Her astrology says she was supposed to have so many. But she gave 5. But for Gurudev, for our seva, for Krishna Bhakti, Gurudev said, just give me this lifetime. Just give me one lifetime. Just one. And then you can do whatever you like in any other lifetime. Just give me one. So she gave that up. And it was a big thing to give up. Biologically, in the life of somebody, when they hit 30, when they start hitting closer to 40, it starts, affecting. That desire is there. It's not that the desire is there. It's an urge. It's a natural urge of any living thing to need and have some necessity to replicate itself, to leave something behind. And that's how this world continues. Every species of life is doing that. She gave that up to serve Gurudev. Of course, Gurudev did say something. Gurudev said to us in the room, he asked us, over 3 years, very carefully. First year, you don't want to have children? I was like, no. Second year, really, you don't want children? I was like, no. And then he said, really, you don't want? And I said, no. And then he said, how is your wife? And I said, even more than me, she doesn't want. And then Gurudev said,
due to association.
This was due to association over time. Gurudev said, call her here immediately. So I made a phone call and said, Gurudev wants to see you right now. She came running from the other house up the hill down to the house where Gurudev was staying. And we went into Gurudev's room and we sat in front of him. And he began giving us instruction. He was actually watching over time. What are you guys going to do? And then he said at the very end of this conversation, because that's when he was deciding what he was going to do with us. He was looking at us, kind of squinting his eyes, shaking his head, looking at us, kind of. And at the very end, he looked at Sudevi. He said, if you do have children.
He said, anyhow, if you do.
No, first part. You will be stuck for your whole life, he told her. He said, your husband, he can do whatever he wants. He can go, he can do this and that, but you will be stuck for your whole life. So first he said that. And then he was looking for a long time and just staring. He said, anyhow, if any child... He spoke
for a while.
He spoke for a while. And at the very end of the conversation, he said, anyhow, if any child does come, then like Chitraketu Maharaj. Sudevi and I looked at each other. We're like, his son died when he was 5 years old. Threw him into intense grief and so much misery. It was both the cause of his greatest happiness and his greatest suffering. So we heard Gurudev say that, and of course that kind of made us sit up straight. And then any Vaishnava, any devotee, we spoke about that interaction with Gurudev with.
Parents.
Anyone who has children, anyone who is a parent, they would say to Gurudev, really say that to you? And we're like, yeah. They said, don't have children. You have no idea. You have no idea. Anyhow, Gurudev has given us different kinds of children. You know, the kind that travel with you and play mridanga for 1 year or 2 years? Teenagers. So we've had many with us over the years. And also he told us that, he spoke to us. Said, you are pleasing me infinitely more by nourishing the spiritual lives of my children rather than having 1 or 2 of your own who may or may not become devotees. But the point I was telling was that some sacrifice was there. Gurudev wanted to engage us in one thing, and we needed to sacrifice something else for that. And he saw that. And so, engaging us in this seva, he has also proven to us that if we continue to serve him, that we don't need to worry. And we used to think we were dependent on the lecture CD sales from the devotee we were traveling with. MP3 lecture CDs. And then we received a message from Gurudev. We have never seen that in the time of one's Gurudev, one would sell their own lectures. So that was a major source of income for our traveling preaching. So we stopped it immediately. And we were so worried, so concerned. Oh my God, we were dependent on that. And then everything continued as it was. We were like, hey, we weren't dependent on that in the first place. We continued selling our CDs. Why? We would also use the proceeds from the CDs toward our tickets, but also as a seva for the devotees. And Gurudev would tell us what songs to sing on our CDs. And he would say, you should sing like your CDs and like this. So this was part of our seva, and Gurudev appreciated how we were doing what we were doing. That 3 tickets every year were made without asking him for 1 penny, and yet we would give him donations. And so he used to tell the other devotees, ask them what they're doing. When we thought we were dependent on the CD sales. And then at a certain point in time, we couldn't do that either. And we were like, hey, we're not dependent on that either. If we just serve Sri Guru sincerely, with our heart and soul, and this goes for anyone, then Krishna will arrange for everything. Krishna will maintain. But especially if any direct order has come from above, then we don't need to worry. Krishna Bhakti, Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. In this case, Guru Krishna Bhakti, Guru Krishna Seva. Koile Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. Guru is the first manifestation of Krishna in our lives. And if we make that endeavor to serve, we will see miracles in your life day after day after day after day. And I know so many have experienced this in reality. And then after some time, we may become weak. Not us, but anyone, and then we become dependent on working in the world. I have found that if I'm continuing my seva, then I don't need to worry. If I take a very long break, then I start to worry.
We've been on a long break.
We've been on, yeah, but I haven't taken 1 day's break. But sometimes it might be a month or so where this is not going on, and then I start noticing, oh, some difficulty may come. But at this point in time, somehow, by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of Krishna, by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, something trickles in a little bit here and there. There's one devotee, so sweet. What? What?
Nothing.
He sends a very sweet donation. Very little bit, and that's all he has, but just a little bit. Once every couple months, we see a little something, and it's really sweet. Very heart-touching. So, but we've seen practically, it's been since the year 2000, so 20 years, Gurudev has engaged us in this seva, and we've continued to endeavor to serve him in this way, and he has maintained us. And I have a very strong faith that because I know the condition of my heart and mind, because I'm not uttam, I'm not madhyam, I'm a struggling devotee, trying to follow the order of Gurudev. I have faith that if any sincere person is endeavoring and trying to follow the instructions of Gurudev and any direct order of Gurudev and Krishna, it is a science. Srila Prabhupada called Krishna consciousness a science. If we follow that science, we will see the result of the science. It's a science. You mix this and this and this, and you see the result. So that's why that verse is there. Shraddha Shabde, that word, Shraddha, Vishwash Kohe. According to those who know what it is, according to the revealed scriptures and all saints and sages, they tell what is the definition of Shraddha. Krishna Bhakti Koile Sarva Karma Kritohai. By endeavoring to follow the process of bhakti, which means first and foremost following the order of Sri Guru, which is the backbone of bhakti. Guru Nishta is the backbone of bhakti. Koile Sarva Karma Kritohai. Then all other obligations, all other sources of dependence, anything that I think I'm dependent on in this material world, we are not. We're dependent on Guru and Krishna. And it's not just about us. This verse applies to everyone in all time and all creation. And we should have faith that Krishna can and will maintain. Rakshishyati vishvasham goptritve varanam tata. Krishna is my protector. Krishna is my maintainer. So if we come to that point, always under guidance, then we will be very, very fortunate that we can see Krishna's mercy manifesting in our lives. And this is something which I feel very strongly about. It's not only applying to us or a few persons who are in the positions of preachers. It applies to anyone who sincerely endeavors to follow the path of bhakti under the guidance of Sri Guru, to serve Krishna, to serve the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It applies wholesale. So, Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Panu Guruvarga ki jai, Srila Raghunandan Thakur ki jai, Srila Bangshidhar Babaji Maharaj ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Sri Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Please forgive me, we have not gone beyond Vaikuntha today, but I believe, what is tomorrow? Is tomorrow Bhaktivedanta Thakur's day, or is it the next day?
We'll have to check.
As soon as possible, we will continue going beyond Vaikuntha. Jai.
I just want to say that I think he's using these examples to show that it's not only those high class Vaishnavas that get that kind of mercy. When Guru sees the endeavor, he rushes toward his disciple to try to push them farther. You want a little bit of something. And so I like that you gave some practical examples, so that it's not just book knowledge. We've experienced it, so you can speak it with some conviction.
One thing I've noticed about Srila Gurudev, if anyone was ever sitting on the wall in a point of uncertainty, should I, testing the water and sitting on the edge, should I jump, or maybe not, like this? If Gurudev sees an opportunity like that, he will run and push as hard as he can from behind. Do it! Like this. So if you give that opportunity to Gurudev, he will accept that opportunity and push, if we give him that. And it is true, that's the reason I told our own personal story, because it is not just about those people over there,
It's not in a book.
Yeah, the ones that are in the books, it's just them, and it doesn't apply to me. It applies to each and every one of us.
We were living at home, we had jobs, we worked on the farm. It wasn't as if we weren't involved deeply in our lives.
We were involved very deeply in samsara. That's what I was telling you before. 10 people were working for us every day. I was up all night firing the dryers. We had $500,000 worth of crops in the ground. Big house. Always fixing the tractors, doing this, doing that. It was such a samsara. My God, it was Gita samsara through and through. And it was quite intense. And all that started after we met Gurudev, actually. And we were just stuck there on an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, miles from anyone. But we were doing this thing, and this was how we were living our lives. And then Gurudev gave an order. So it wasn't like, we were doing something more than anyone else, but something happened at that time, which I have to say. Because we were in such a physically lonely situation, I was working on the farms, and Sudevi needed a way out. So what was her way out? Eventually, gradually, she took shelter of trying to apply what Gurudev was instructing into her own life, and that was chanting. Taking shelter of Harinam Prabhu, taking care of Thakurji, cooking so nicely for them, following all of the principles of bhakti, but chanting a lot every day, just taking shelter of the instructions that Gurudev came, and that he gave. That's why I'm saying the general instruction, because it was general. It wasn't direct. You have to chant this much every day, Sudevi. It was to all of his disciples, but she started applying it. And I was working on the farm all day and then firing the dryers all night. And I was exhausted, I was emaciated, I was completely, material energy had me completely strapped. But I noticed something changing in her rapidly. Glow, happy, light, service mood increasing, more taste for chanting. And I was thinking, my God, look what I'm doing over here. I want what she has. And I started becoming a little jealous. Really, I was like, I want what she's doing because she's happy and I'm suffering over here. I want you to become happy. So then I forgot all about that and I started doing what she was doing. I was chanting a lot. I was also taking care of Thakurji and doing all that, and I practically neglected the farms. I just told some manager, you take care of it. And he ended up stealing everything. Anyway, the point was, not everything, but a lot. And we were just absorbing ourselves. And the next time we met Gurudev, this was in Vrindavan for Kartik. I think it was 2000. Not 2000. Yes.
1999.
1999 Kartik, leading into 2000. The first thing Gurudev said to us, you should use your energy for preaching. And then different Vaishnavas started pulling us. I remember it was like Tirtha Maharaj and Bhan Maharaj and Madhava. I mean, that time they were in brahmacharis, right? Shubhananda Prabhu, Shubhal Saka Brahmachari,
Naveen.
Naveen Brahmachari, one after another, Sapita Didi, this one, and they were pulling us into different corners and telling us Harikatha, and we were like, what's going on? What's going on? We didn't even understand why they were doing this to us. And then just at the end of Kartik, middle of Kartik, we were at Govardhan, and Gurudev told us to lead Nandanandashtakam Radhikatakshastavaraja. And then he told, at that time, Vishaka, he told her, stand up and speak what I spoke in the morning. And as soon as she spoke, then he just said, he was very pleased with whatever we did. And in front of the devotees, he said, I want you three to make a team and travel and preach my mission everywhere.
She was married.
She was married and living in England. We had the farms and we were married living in Fiji. And he's like, I don't want you in Fiji. I want you traveling and preaching. Where's Vishaka? We're like, she's in England with her husband, where she lives. I don't want her in England. I want her with you, traveling and preaching. We're like, okay. So Gurudev made the order. Gurudev gave some potency. Gurudev sent us away from everything. He didn't want us to have any bindings in this world. And then he also maintained us until today. He has proven that he is more than capable of maintaining us in hundreds and hundreds of ways. And so we have faith in the power of Gurudev to maintain us. We have developed that much faith, at least, besides how wonderful, how sweet, how much nectar his Harikatha is. But the most important thing is to always be under guidance. That's what Gurudev said. Some Shakti will be there because you are under guidance. So always to be in a mood of being under guidance, to always take shelter, to not ever think I am more or superior to my Gurudev, to always feel like a very lowly, foolish person in front of my Gurudev, that I have nothing, I have no good intelligence, I have no good quality about me. Your mercy is everything to me. And if we follow that path, the reason I told you our story is because I have firm faith that it is not just about us. Anybody can follow that process of endeavoring to please Gurudev with their heart. If they really try, then maybe Sri Guru will send any Shiksha Guru who will engage us in seva, and also we can have that faith that Krishna will maintain. Gurudev said if you sat in one place for 1 week and chanted 1 lakh every day, you will see that Krishna will maintain everything. But you're not doing it because you have no faith.
Well, he did it.
Gurudev himself experienced that himself. He did just that. So this is quickly Gurudev's story. We'll end with Gurudev's story so that it can be transcendentalized. So Srila Gurudev himself, when Narottam Brahmachari and Trivikram Maharaj, Radhanath Brahmachari came to his village and spoke the conceptions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, coming in the line of Rupa Goswami, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. When they were preaching in that village, Srila Gurudev was so amazed and so touched that immediately he began taking shelter of Sri Harinam Prabhu. He was a lieutenant of the police department, highly placed.
Never took a bribe.
Never took a bribe, well loved, well respected, and he was the bread maker of his family. So Gurudev started taking shelter of Sri Harinam Prabhu. For days he was chanting a minimum 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, sometimes 3 lakhs every single day. And he completely forgot about work and everything else, weeping and weeping. First he was at work. I remember Gurudev telling us this. At work when he was chanting and tears were flowing so much, his paper, all of the ink in the papers was starting to blend. And just, when water hits ink, how it works. So then he decided to take a break. He went back to his place and he was just chanting, taking shelter of Sri Harinam Prabhu and serving Sri Radha and Krishna through Harinam Seva. So he was gone for some time. When he went back to work, he was apologizing to everyone. I'm so sorry I wasn't able to be here. I wasn't able to fulfill my function. I had so many obligations, and they said, what are you talking about? You were here just yesterday. And the day before that, you received the Medal of Honor for this and that.
We found that paper we were all looking for.
Yeah. So you found the paper we were all looking for. All of these things took place, but Gurudev wasn't there. And Gurudev realized at that point, Krishna has promised that if anyone takes shelter of him, then he takes care of all of their obligations, sometimes even personally. So he impersonated Gurudev personally and did his duties while Gurudev was serving Krishna through Harinam Prabhu. At that point, when Gurudev heard all that, he realized, I have nothing to worry about in this world. I should completely surrender myself to Krishna. So what did he do?
In the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night, regardless of every other situation, he was the bread maker of his family, his uncles, his sisters, his parents, his children, wife, everything. He realized that Krishna is taking care of everything. I have nothing to worry about, Baba. I have nothing to do, as Srila Gurudeva Maharaj would say. So what did he do in the middle of the night? He got up, he went to the train station, hopped on a train
Without telling anyone.
without telling a soul. He arrived in Navadvip train station. And who was waiting there for him? Sajan Sevak Brahmachari, who later became known as Srila Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj, holding a lantern, calling, Tewariji, Tewariji. Our Gurudev, that time, what was his name? No, his childhood name.
I was thinking Bolan.
He had many childhood nicknames. Anyhow, that time, he was Narayan also. He became known as Gaur Narayan after that. So he came, how did you know? Narayan Tiwari. How did you know that I was coming? I didn't tell a soul. And Sajan Sevak Brahmachari said, oh, Guru Maharaj told me to come and collect you. So that increased Gurudev's faith.
I didn't tell him.
Yeah, he said, I didn't tell him. He said, anyhow, he told me to come and get you. But he realized, oh, this is my Gurudev. He understands. He knows my heart. He knows everything. So then Gurudev went and fell prostrated at the feet of Param Gurudev Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. He said, all of the attachment I had to my family, to my position, to my house, to my home, to my wife and children and parents and everything, my job, everything, I have now collected in one point and I am offering in your lotus feet. Param Gurudev wept. Tears came from his eyes and he said, until now, I have not heard these words from anyone. And Gurudev said from that moment, by the tears of his Gurudev, some little mercy came into my heart.
Gurudev was 24, 25 years old at the time.
Yes.
Very young.
So from this he saw that just by taking shelter of Sri Harinam Prabhu, that Krishna was maintaining everything. And from that moment, although Gurudev worked so hard for Krishna and for his Gurudev, he never had to work in this world ever again. Not any worldly work. And not only that, he even said, if Lakshmi is coming, we tell her, you stay very far away. To that extent, that Lakshmi, in Shastra it is said that mukti, all the siddhis, wealth, position, name, fame, everything comes to serve the pure devotee. So they don't have anything to worry about. Krishna himself is personally carrying whatever they may lack and preserving whatever they have. And Gurudev has shown this in his own life, in his own experience. So we should have
So did Srila Gurudeva
Srila Gurudeva Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, all of our Guru Varga, they have shown this. So we can have faith in their transcendental faith. Okay.
Nice.
Shri Gurudeva ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Now it's late. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Nitai Gaur Premanande
Hari Hari
Shri Gurudev ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Gopal Guruvara ki jai, Nityananda Guru ki jai, Shachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Radha Bihari Ji ki jai, Radha Madhu ki jai, Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Hare Krishna Mahamantra ki jai, Harinama Sankirtan ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much for being with us today and giving us the opportunity to remember the beautiful teachings and instructions of our Gurudev and our Guru Varga, and also for giving us the opportunity to remember the mercy of Srila Gurudev in our own personal lives. It's nice to reflect upon that as well. And also for engaging us in our Guru Seva, which we would not have if it weren't for all of you. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity every day to follow the order of our Gurudev. That even though I'm no longer on this sphere, even when I'm no longer on this sphere, I want that you continue traveling and preaching my mission everywhere. So we look forward to being with all of you tomorrow, regardless of whether it is a holy day or not. Either way, we'll remember either the Vaishnavas or the teachings of Gurudev in this book. And Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna, Radhe Radhe, Radha Bihari Ji ki Jai.